As home prices skyrocket across the United States, more and more people are turning to the idea of buying themselves their own lot, or a piece of dirt, is what I always call it. I've seen lots of people make lots of mistakes when buying their piece of land. And today I'm going to be sharing with you some common mistakes and some things you need to look out for before you sign on the dotted line. Of course, if you're considering buying a piece of land, the number one thing is to find a good location. So with that location, how close is it to hospitals? How close is it to shopping? Are those things important to you? How long do you plan on living on this piece of property or keeping this piece of property? So that way in the future, if you decide to sell it, well, how sellable is this piece of property? In order to find all those things out, you can have a nice long conversation with a real estate agent, a local real estate agent in the area, and they can pull up comparables on how much land has sold within the last 6 months, even the last 6 years. So that way you can see how well land actually sells in that area. Because if you don't plan on holding on to it forever, you'll want to make sure that you're going to be able to sell it in the future. On my channel, I talk about alternative housing and manufactured homes and tiny homes and all sorts of different types of homes that people genuinely want to build and put on their land. One thing that happens more often than not is that they buy themselves a piece of land and then they find out after the fact, after they've purchased it, that they don't allow for those types of dwellings on the property. So when you're looking through the MLS or working with a real estate agent, make sure you make it clear to them that's what you intend on doing with the piece of property. If you don't know what MLS is, it's the multiple listing service. And they can filter out the pieces of property that will work for what you want to do and build on that property. Whether it be a barndominium, a tiny home, a modular home, a manufactured home. So that way you're ahead of the game and not wasting your time looking at a bunch of listings that won't even fit your needs. When you're buying a piece of land, the other thing you're going to want to really look at is if the piece of land has utilities already brought to the property. This could save you thousands and thousands of dollars. So you want to make sure that that property has that ahead of time. So now you know that there's utilities that are going to be able to go out to your property. Yay! But what if you were thinking about going totally off the grid? You know, like you're not even going to have a well out to your property because you're going to do some kind of composting toilet and you plan on doing solar power. Here's the problem with that. You're going to definitely have to check with the county officials if they allow that. I know many areas that say you must be attached to some kind of utilities. I know it's something that people are doing more and more, but if you don't have approval, you can cause yourself a big headache with local officials. You know, if you're trying to get off the grid, that's the last thing you want to happen is them have a big town meeting because you're not attached to any of the utilities in the area and you have a composting toilet. I know it sounds like a really great dream, but you could be just dreaming if you bought a piece of property and they don't allow for this. It's a big, giant expense. Another aspect of buying a piece of property is a lot of people don't think about is the mineral rights. Now here in Louisiana on the state contract, it will say the mineral rights conveyed to the buyer. And then they'll give you like a certain kind of percentage you can put that the seller keeps and then the buyer keeps. Most people don't know is a lot of times the land developer originally already owns those rights. We have to wait a period of time before the buyer actually gets full rights to the mineral rights. So that could take up to 10 years. Why would you want it and why wouldn't you want it? Well, here's the most extreme case. Say you were walking through your yard and on your property and you stepped on it, like, remember in the Beverly Hillbillies?
He was shooting at some food and up through the ground come a bubbling crude.
And the oil just started spurting out on their property. Well, if you didn't own the mineral rights for that piece of property, that oil that you struck, it wouldn't go to you. It would go to the people that already had the mineral rights. So that is something you may want to concern yourself with. So that way you keep the mineral rights for yourself because, you know, who knows? It would be great to strike a little liquid gold. Covenants and HOAs. Now, every single piece of property has some kind of like rules to it, whether it's through the county or through even the state. Like you can't have cattle on the property. You're definitely going to want to check those rules out. But you're also going to want to check to see if there's an HOA. You could be in the middle of a desert and think there's no way there's an HOA out here. But I assure you, you need to dig that up, because I just got a letter from somebody that said that they bought a piece of land, and then all of a sudden he got a letter in the mail saying that he needed to clear out the property because the HOA had stated that it needed to be cleared up. No matter how old the HOA is and how old the rules are, they still can be enforced. You can usually get a copy of that from the selling agent. If they don't happen to have a copy and the seller doesn't have a copy, I guarantee the title company will be able to dig up a copy of the HOA covenants. Here in Louisiana, we have all sorts of wetlands and low-lying areas. When you're buying a piece of property, you're going to want to check it in all weather types. Whenever you put in that first offer to buy a piece of property, I want you to check that piece of property after it rains, on a sunny day, on a cloudy day, on a snowy day. Check that piece of property to see where it holds water. Now, you're also going to want to get a Wetlands Determination certificate, and that will let you know how much of the property itself is usable property and that you can actually build on. I've seen it more often than not. Somebody says, oh, I bought 4 acres of land for a great price. And I'm like, how much of it is usable? And they're like, well, only 10%. Well, you really only bought 10%, and the rest of it is just for you to look at. If that's something that's fine by you, that's fine. But just know that sometimes when you're buying 4 acres, not all 4 acres is usable. I do want you to know that not all dirt is created equal. You would think it's dirt and comes from the ground and it's naturally made. But no, you're going to want to get a soil sample of your dirt. You're going to be able to find something that's able to do that soil compaction test to make sure that it's good dirt. You don't want bad dirt for your new home and then like your foundation starts cracking. All these things are going to take time for you to have your inspections done. So make sure you allow for a long time for your inspections. Typical house is about 10-day inspection period, but with a piece of land, you're going to want to extend that out even longer. So that way you can have all of your inspections done with your soil samples, your wetlands determination. Hopefully, in the best case scenario, the seller already has that to provide to you, but not all soil is perfect for building a house. So you want to make sure that the piece of land that you're buying is going to be worth you putting a house on, because you might just have a piece of land that's worth nothing because you can't build a house on it. Now, when you're looking for land, there's one thing you may want to look at as well, is the fact that if it's considered agricultural land. If you're planning on holding on to this piece of property for quite some time before you build on it, and it is considered agricultural land as well, you can actually rent out that land for people to allow their cows and other livestock to graze on your property. Not only does that help the farmers, it gives you a little side business and it gives you a tax credit. So just think of that if you're thinking about buying a big piece of land and has agricultural under it. When you're looking at property, it should come with some kind of plat map or some kind of outline of where the property line is all the way around. With that, you're also going to want to know from the listing agent, how far does the property allow for you to set back? So if the line is here, how many feet does your house or structure need to be set back from the property line? And that also goes for the size as well. They should have that information. And if they don't, they should be able to look that up in county records or with your title company that you're going to be using to close the property. So you've been scanning through Zillow and you find yourself a piece of property that is just absolutely perfect, but it's zoned commercial and you want to build a house on it. Well, you're not going to be able to do that. Your real estate agent will be able to tell you if it is zoned residential. If you're unsure, you can always check with county records. With that being said, there is one zoning that I absolutely love, is mixed use, because you can actually have a property that you live on and a property that you work on. But you have to find out what their total requirements are for mixed use, but that's one of my favorites. Here's another one that gets really tricky, and it happens a lot here in Louisiana. I'm sure it happens throughout the United States as well, is the easements. So that's the way that people get to a property. Or is there any easements that allow people to go through your property that you're planning on purchasing? Is there like some kind of dirt road that everybody has access to? These are important things you need to know before you sign on the dotted line, because you might have a dirt road there that you think that is part of your property to get to, but you needed to have permission to be able to use that easement to get to your property. You can find that out again through the title office, and your real estate agent and listing agent should have that information for you about the easements of the property you're about to purchase. The biggest key when buying a lot is the fact that you have to do your research ahead of time. You've done a soil sample, you've done a flood determination, you know what the setbacks are on the property, you know what the easements are on that property. If you've done your homework, you're going to know what the local ordinances are for the size of the structure you plan on building in the future, and if it allows for sheds and farm equipment. You're also going to know what the zoning is, and if it's agriculture, and if you can rent that land out to local farmers so you can get a tax credit. Now you know all this stuff. I hope you enjoy your new piece of land. If you'd like to watch some more videos from me, go ahead and click this video right here. My name is Kristina Smallhorn, your real estate whisperer, and I tell you all this because good real estate information matters.